going to give people a couple minutes to come in here. People who are coming in, please let me know if you can see my beautiful Nubian goddess, Miss Robin Fay Massie, who has taken time out of her busy schedule to come and chat with me live on Conversations with Tona Brown. So we're just going to give people some time to come in here on twitch.tv as well as our Facebook feed and everything. So I can see you perfectly. So hopefully everyone else can see you. And if not, they will tell me because I'm like,
I'm sure.
oh my God. How have you been doing this evening?
Oh, I've been wonderful. This has been a great weekend. The last few weeks for me have been, kind of starting a new job. So I've been a little bit discombobulated, but life has a way of causing balance, right?
Yeah.
So I have this. Yeah,
and you
so I
are
have
all
a
about
lovely
that
teenager
balance,
who
okay?
does not take myself too seriously.
I know with your yoga, and I've been following you, girl, doing it. Okay, so I see we have one viewer that is in here. Chloe, that's my diva. Another one of my divas. Can you see the guest, Chloe? Please type in and let us know because I can see everything, but I just want to make sure everyone else can. So if Chloe or anyone can let me know if they can see the diva Robin Fay Massie, I would really appreciate it. She said yes. Okay, also
Hi,
can you yes,
Chloe.
also can you hear her? Oh good. All right. She said I can see you both.
Yay!
So
Chloe better
welcome
be the
everyone
test
to
subject.
Conversations with Tona Brown. I am here with one of my favorite viola divas. We even have our own little thing. Yes. So you guys, I always like to give you some personal behind the scenes on how I know so many amazing celebrities and musicians. And I moved to Baltimore for a few years. And during that time, I met a lovely violist who took me underneath her wings and allowed me so much time to work with her and so many amazing D&B musicians. Hi, Patrick. Patrick says, hey, divas. Yes, Patrick will be on the show as well.
Yes.
During that time, it was a very difficult time because I didn't know the city. I was trying to get acclimated to what was going on with, the new area and music, and I had a duo thing going on, and then I met Pure Sunshine, and that was Robin Fay Massie with her non-for-profit organization that we're going to talk about, Musicians of Mercy. And I was so enthralled with what is this organization and like how are you all doing all this amazing stuff? And so let us start with you talking a little bit about that because I know you are short on time. So let's start with that. How did you come up with the concept of Musicians of Mercy?
Oh, well, first, before I say anything, I just have to thank you, Diva. You are a supernova yourself. So I really am blessed to be here, blessed to call you a sister. It feels like yesterday, when we met, but also when we met, it felt like we had already known each other.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So I'm just grateful to have been able to watch your ascension over the last 10 years, really,
Yeah, because the struggle was real, okay?
Okay. We won't even go into that. That's another show.
That's what a behind the scenes tell all book, okay? Right. Which I am writing one. But yeah, the struggle was real. And during that period, when you're just trying to figure things out and you're trying to understand the music business and you and I kind of were thrust into it because you of course, were playing with so many different orchestras during that time at the same time. So I remember you took me with you. She was the assistant principal, I believe it was, of the Delaware Symphony.
Yes.
Yes, principal violist. And I ran up there to go see a concert, and the diva was letting them have it. I said, I know that's right. And she was like this beautiful chocolate drop, just playing to the gods. And y'all know I'm all about it, all about it. And we both joke a lot because we did so much playing together. We call it the honey. And not everyone has that. Not everyone has that honey when they perform, especially as a classical musician. And for those who don't know, people of color have been involved in classical music from day one. Okay, that's
Oh,
one thing
yes.
that people don't really understand. But when you bring our experience to classical music, whether it's vocal music, whether it's instrumental music, there is a difference. And
Yes.
when I first heard you, it was funny because you came to a concert that I was doing with the city of Maryland at the time, and I wanted to raise money and awareness for different issues. And we were both so gun ho trying to do it. And you came, and bless your heart, you came, and it was just like this beautiful smile. I was playing, and I didn't look at anyone else. All I saw was you cheesing back the whole time. So again, because I know you are short on time, please let people know about how you came up with the concept of Musicians of Mercy.
Well, I will just, make a little departure from that story because I will never forget that. But to slightly digress, I will say that one of the things that drew me to you was that natural spirit of altruism, this positivity, this idea, this notion that there's something bigger than me. I'm a small part of a grand scheme. And that's really what drives me each day, that I'm very small and I'm here with a very specific purpose. And I've known that. I've been blessed to know that since I was a child.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people move through life looking for purpose and miss the mark because they don't realize that there's purpose in everything that you do. Every gift that you have is directly and divinely connected to your purpose. Yeah. So when I realized that not only am I here to connect people, but to connect myself to the rest of the world, and it became more about connectivity and communication and less about music, less about me being seen. It had nothing to do with me being seen. It had nothing to do with me arriving or walking down a certain path, and therefore had nothing to do with money, which is not to say a glorious thing. I'm not trying to glorify myself. I'm only trying to suggest that arriving at Musicians of Mercy was me discovering, why am I here?
Yeah. Yeah. And I promised myself I was not going to cry during this interview, and I'm going to try my best to, but if it flow, it flow. Because that was something that, just to let people know more about you, that was something that I think anyone who meets you knew off the bat. Because the first thing that people always ask people like us is, well, what are you getting out of this? What are you doing this for? I had that with my Carnegie Hall debut. I had that with trying to get musicians together to do things, and then working with you and finally feeling like I had a home with a sister who, it was like a spirit sister who understood that there's more to life than just making money. There's more to life than fame or any of those things. And I was never about that anyway. I was kind of thrust into it, and people who will read my book later, and all my friends behind the scenes, they just know Tona's just Tona. You know what I'm saying? And that's just what it was. So when I met you and you were doing Musicians of Mercy, what was so amazing, you guys, is that this lady is so powerful. She would be able to get almost 200 musicians to perform with her for free. Let me say it again, for free. How many of us could ask people to come together for a cause and not pay them a gazillion and $1? Like you, and it was because we believed in you, and we still do, of course. We believed in you, and we understood what you were trying to do and how successful it was, because every time you turned around there was another symphony orchestra, there was a chamber orchestra, there was woodwinds and basses, and all these people were showing their love to you and what you were trying to do and what you still do today. So I just want to commend you so much, because it's so rare that I meet spiritual people who aren't just about one thing or the other, but that get that we all need to work together, and that helped change my life, my mind, that it was even possible. And then to meet your incredible mom. Woo, okay. Meet your mom, and to see she was a spirit sister in the same sense. It was like she had her business goals, she achieved them, she did so many wonderful things, but she was such a strong woman. And anyone who knows me, that's what I'm about. I wasn't raised by very weak women at all. All the women in my family, they were strong. They made sure that we understood that we needed to be as independent as possible, that we need to take care of our families and do all those lovely things. But that if you have goals and aspirations in life, you need to go for them. And when I saw
Yeah.
you, I said, oh, anything this diva needs, you said you need any advice, you need me to play, anything, all you have to do is ask. And you really never did. You rarely ever ask anyone for anything. And I think that just touched me so. And for all those people, because more people are coming into the room, for the people who don't know, she was actually one of the original people when I came up with the concept of Musicians of Mercy. You were the one who said, oh, that's a great idea. And I was like, would you come on? You didn't think anything about it. You just popped up. I don't even remember, was that in a hotel room?
It was
Jesus, child, again, people don't know. They see the success, they see the end results of things, but they don't know what it's like. And then to have that sisterhood, and to be able to have someone I could talk to about very personal things, just means and meant the world to me. And I have to say too, you guys, she is also a nurse, and I had to check myself because I knew this was your mission. And I remember having those selfish thoughts saying, oh my God, what if she gets sick with COVID? I don't know how it's going to be able to manage. It was you, and it was my other girlfriend, Wendy. And she was a violinist that played with me all through high school. And I just kept praying and saying, Lord, I know this is what they're called to do, but that selfish part of us that wants to just snatch people out of their situations and be like, no, but you have done phenomenally. And how has that been? Because I did want to talk a little bit about what that has done. I've noticed a change in you ever since you started working. So tell people what you do.
Well, I will definitely say that what I do is an outgrowth of who I am. And I think that's important to underscore. And it's not just for me, it's for each of us. We are not what we do. What we do is a result of who we are.
Right.
So,
being
that part, being an artist is the same as being a nurse. I'm Nurse Robin when I'm on stage. I'm a musician when I am sitting with a patient. It's from here, right?
Yeah.
So I've had the blessing of not only being able to walk across the stage as an artist, but to take that same artistry and that level of dedication and compassion and love to walk with a patient through their journey. I started my nursing journey right before the pandemic. I had no clue that I would be thrust into the midst of, the throes of COVID-19 and the after effects, but some of which we haven't seen yet. But I started in the emergency room in a hospital in Baltimore and, got my feet wet, so to speak, but fell in love not only with that population of patients, but even my colleagues there, serving the community in a different way from a different door, entering through a different door, but with the same amount of, introspection and humility and reverence, really, for human life. When you get to hold someone's hand as they are slipping into eternity, it changes you forever.
Yeah.
And there were many nights when, I'm doing compressions on someone, and just to see their color change immediately and to see them slip away and to know I got to hold your hand as you're leaving.
Yeah.
And I got to see you before, you leave this place.
Yeah.
That's absolutely humbling. It can be crushing, but it can also be absolutely marvelous because I got to see the side of death that scares most people.
Yeah.
But it's actually very beautiful, I will say. And so starting in the emergency room as a very, hectic environment, it's very frightening and scary. It's rough around the edges. It's in Baltimore. So, there's all kinds of edgy stuff.
It's real. Yeah.
And I come in there like, yay!
And we're all cheerful and stuff, and people are like.
But, it was such an environment that, I know as soon as I arrived, a lot of my colleagues were like, who is it? What is she doing here? There's a certain, edginess or a hardening that can occur in an environment like that because it can be harsh. You have to act quickly, think quickly. People will come in, they'll say anything because they're in distress. When people are in distress, think of how you respond when you're in distress.
That's right.
You throw all thoughts into the wind.
Yeah.
And my purpose, I realize, in that environment, how do I create peace, bring balance to an environment that is full of what can be a storm, negativity, violence.
Yeah. And did you guys think that, here we are, a year or so later, did you guys think that this would still be an issue with people not wanting to be vaccinated and just politicizing something that is public health? Who in our right minds would have thought that it would have got to this place?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. What's so strange to me is that I feel like I had seen it before the rest of the community saw it because we were already seeing patients before December.
That's right.
December 2019, that's when we started seeing things, at least in Baltimore. And then you start hearing the news. So I felt it was like an out-of-body experience. And I never really felt isolated in the sense that I've been in that setting. I've been taking care of people, moving through, the ER to, moving to Georgia and taking care of oncology patients, my heroes and sheroes in oncology. It's a different setting, but it feels, it's an amazing experience to take care of people who are in their most naked state. We say we want to be naked, we want to be unashamed.
Yeah, what has that transition been like to go from emergency and then to start working? I mean, you guys already were dealing with COVID. You're on the front lines trying to figure out what is going on, why so many people are getting sick. And then you transition to working with...
It's scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's any transition is scary. Even in music, we think, a lot of times it's easier. Let's work on the beginning of the phrase. Let's work on the end. Nobody wants to work through the phrase. Nobody wants to sing through the phrase. You have to build that. You have
Yeah.
to plan for that, and that's what is lacking. Perhaps. And again, I'm very small. I have a very small voice, but there's a responsibility that each of us has. There's public health, there's personal health, right? But what's in between? We have to find that gap in between where we create that sort of balance that sets us in place to be prepared for the next step, no matter what happens. We don't know what's going to happen. And I would say in the last 2 years, my 3 favorite words, other than I love you, are I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know what my life will look like. I don't know what the future society is going to look like. I know that people are anxious. People are depressed. People are, drug use, drug abuse, alcohol. All of these things have increased. What's the root cause? It's pain. We all have pain, whether you have COVID or you had COVID or you will have COVID. I've been blessed. I have not been sick. I have the responsibility to continue to take care of myself mentally, spiritually, emotionally. I have to keep myself in a cocoon, but then still be able to reach out and say, thank you for conversations with Tona Brown, because this gives us a chance to connect. We were created for relationship as humans. And if you cut that off, it's like, I might as well just, I'm suffocated. Masks are, permeable. I can breathe through a mask. As much as it looks like I can.
Yeah.
But if you cut off my voice, what do I have? I have to be able to speak. And so this platforms like Conversations with Tona Brown, the ability to recreate ourselves, to communicate and connect within our communities is so vital, even if we have to find other ways to do it. So
exactly.
I'm grateful. I'm just grateful. I wake up every morning and I'm like, thank you, God. I have eyes to see. I have fingers that can hold this instrument. I can still make music, and I still do. And it comes from a different place. It's a more seasoned place than it was 10 years ago.
Wow. I'm just blown right now because I know that everything that you're saying, I'm sorry, I was looking for my cord for a second because it said something about low system resources. Mervin is saying that he can't hear or see anything. So I'm not sure what happened just now because everything was just going just as well. So I'm not sure. Mervin, if you could tell us when you can hear and see something again, because I want to continue this amazing conversation that we're having. Let's see. Is my battery dying? Let me make sure that everything is plugged in.
This speaks to the flexibility of 2021.
Right. It would be nice if I had the thing plugged in. Oh my goodness. Yeah, my power was getting low. But anyway, okay, hopefully that will rectify the problem because I wasn't plugged in. Okay. But at any rate,
There's a deeper metaphor there.
Exactly. I'm just so blessed to have you on the show and have you share your message because I think that we also need some guidance. We need some guidance from health professionals to let us know that, one, that we're going to be okay, or what the dangers are, or just what you guys have been witnessing and having to deal with. Like, it is just insane the things that you guys have had to deal with for so long. I mean, are you guys tired?
Absolutely. I can say that without hesitation. We're all very tired. I have several friends of mine with whom I started in the ER, and they were there before I arrived. And when I arrived, COVID hadn't hit yet. And they have since decided to step away and just said, I'm just tired. And they've moved into other fields or other specialties in nursing. And I'm only speaking of nurses who I'm talking about right now. It's exhausting. It's tiring to, gear yourself. It's like going to war, to gear yourself up for battle every day. And that doesn't stop no matter um, what aspect of nursing, at least I'm speaking from a nurse's perspective, what aspect of nursing I may be in, I'm giving the same amount of heart and love and compassion and to bleed every day,
Yeah.
every time I'm with every person. It's hard. So how do you replenish yourself?
Yeah.
These
Well, and
things
that's what I
that,
want to talk to you about. I have noticed just from following you, because of course I'm a huge fan as well. Just following you do so much self-care work. And can you share some of those things that have been effective for you during this very difficult time? We have family members who are sick. We have a lot of people who are dying all around us. I have some clients that I teach music lessons to that are psychologists and psychiatrists. And one of the things that I've been talking to them about is the trauma that
yes,
no one is talking about when it comes down to you may have by mistake given this to someone, a loved one, and they pass away. Like no one is really talking about these things. And I feel it's so important. She's going to come on my show as well to give us some stuff from her perspective to talk about. But what has been working for you? Because you are just dynamite. Every time I see you're just taking those times out to yourself. I see you start doing yoga. What are some other things that are really working for you?
yeah, I definitely believe that I have to be able to be inspired, have to stay inspired, which means to look upward, right?
Yeah.
So for me, my faith in God is paramount in my survival and thriving. Um, I don't wake up any morning without thanking God first.
Yeah.
So having some connectivity to, my creator is so important. And that to remember that, each person who I touch is their own temple. So I don't approach anyone without reverence, without love. Um, and that ties into how I take care of myself. I make sure that I wake up very early. I work nights generally, but I still make time to make sure that I'm hydrating myself well, eating well, um, reading, listening to music, practicing music, trying to feed. I call that soul food. For me, that's soul food. How do
Yeah,
I
it's always
feed
been for
my
me
soul?
too.
You know, that's what I have to contribute to my world, my community, the people around me, even my daughter. As a single mom, that can be draining too, because, thank God I have a village. You're part of my village. My
Absolutely.
mom, oh my goodness, my dad, my aunts and uncles who have helped me to raise this nugget into a big nugget. You know,
Yeah.
I make sure that I make time for them. I as often as I can, I'm on the road trying to go visit family, and
Yeah.
that feeds me too.
Yeah, and
Writing
I
all the
think
things that I love.
now we just know how important that is. You know how older people, because most of the people that I actually talk to on a regular basis are a lot older than me. Because I love talking to people that have some kind of wisdom and have life experience, and they will constantly tell you how important those things are. Having connections, things that they've regretted if they have, And I think now more than any time, we all know that this is the time to connect and to do things and to really, really let people know how much you love and care for them.
Yes, and I will add to that. You've always been very driven when it comes to seeking wisdom. And I find that nothing really matters because when you have the drive to seek wisdom, it's going to make you act or move a certain way through space, and it's going to say, you know what, maybe I don't have to cut this person off on the road. Maybe, I'm going to be loving instead because my time is short and I
Yeah.
don't know what's promised. I can look at someone now and say, this might be the last time I see you. I'm going to treat you differently
Right.
because I see that at work. So that's certainly going home with me.
Wow, that's deep. That's another one.
Yeah, so we don't wait. If you have a goal, you have a book, you have a business, you have a boo, whatever that you are working on, say it, do it, plan it. You don't know. You just don't know how much time you have. And
Yeah.
the older I get, I put less emphasis on time. I don't really think it's relevant. I think it's a social construct. What we have is each other.
Right.
And
Right.
if I invest my life in getting deeper with my relationships, that to me matters the most. And it starts with the relationship you have with yourself.
Absolutely. And the other thing I want to add, that is another reason why you're so successful. One of the things that I'm trying to do and have always tried to do with conversations with Tona Brown is to give people those life lessons. And sometimes when people follow me, I put hashtag tag life lessons with Tona Brown simply because along the way you start to learn some of these life lessons that really, really help yourself and others. And you have just spit out so many of them because it's so natural to you, which is so wonderful. You have to prioritize your time, you have to focus. And then again, we were talking earlier for those who are just coming in, we're talking about not focusing so much just on monetary rewards. Because in the end, you can't take the money with you. You ask anyone, it can be here 1 minute, it can be gone the next minute, but your interpersonal relationships are the most important thing because with or without money, you still need people that you can trust and love and take care of and be taken care of when you need. So those are the things that are so important. But what I was going to say too about you being so successful is reading this list of all of these artists that you have had the fortune of performing for and with. And I think if people don't believe in manifestation and attracting opportunities, I don't know. I don't know what else I can say when y'all hear this list of the people that this woman has worked with. So we already talked about how you perform with the Philadelphia Orchestra, the National Symphony Orchestra. You were an assistant principal violist for the Delaware Symphony Orchestra, and principal violist with the Black Pearl Chamber Orchestra. But also, a lot of people don't know that you perform for Jill Scott, Clay Aiken, Aretha Franklin, Ty Tribbett, Earth, Wind and Fire, Ruben Studdard, Stevie Wonder. The list goes on. You've had television appearances, The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon. What can you tell a young artist that wants to get into this industry? What advice would you give them?
I have two things that I would say. One of the most brilliant pieces of wisdom that I received from my first mentor in music, Mr. Ronald Smith, he poured into me the value of teachers like yourself. It's just, I can't emphasize enough how important it is to have a mentor, to be more than a teacher, but to take someone under your wing and to guide them. So with that guidance, one of the things he said to me was, there's room for everyone in music. This is a man who did not look like me and who had enough faith to say, this young chocolate girl has a special voice. She might not have all the technique. She might not have all the money and opportunity, but I'm going to pour into her and give of myself so that she can have a place at the table too. So your career doesn't have to look like what you think it has to look like. It has to be guided by the voice and the gift that you have. As long as you don't allow people to tamper with that voice, they can tweak it. They can cultivate it and help you to refine that voice. But as long as you maintain who you are and know who you are and live in a way that you're proud of who you are, and you walk across the stage with your head held high, that is how you create a career that is fulfilling, and it's a fount. It's not just a job.
That's right.
I will do any playing anywhere without feeling the need that I need to get something out of it, because I'm giving to the situation.
That's it.
Wait.
Woo! You got to rewind that one right there. That's it. Say that again.
You can't out-heart me. Nobody can, because I know my own heart, and I'm going to give 100% with every performance. Every note that I play comes from my soul.
Yeah.
And I'm not looking at anyone else.
And we can tell. We feel that. Anyone who's played with you in an ensemble or just watched the spirit move while you play. That's all we have to do. If people would just sit back and pay attention, you can feel that it exudes from you. And those are the type of people that I'm sharing on this channel. Because I feel that we're in a world where there's so much noise and there's so much chaos and there's so much, let's keep it real, lack thereof of talent and ability. But these are the people who get rewarded the most. But I feel that it's still, we don't care about that when you're a real artist. Because your essence, your ability to tap into something greater than yourself and share that is very moving. And every time you perform, just like you said, every time we feel it. And that's one of the things that I try to explain to my students as well. Don't get up here and sing or play if you don't have something to say. We need to hear it. We need to feel it. What's the point? What is the point? Yes, because you can play all these notes or you can sing or what have you. But we need to have something different. And especially if you're supposedly a soloist, we need to hear something different that is special to you. And the other tidbit that you said is very important, you guys. There are some people that will try to take that natural ability and pull that and dissect it and put you down for it. And you cannot allow that to happen. You can listen to people. You can agree to disagree. I will share, there was one time with a violin teacher that I was with where she just literally told me that something I was doing musically was just stupid. Like in the middle of the lesson, I guess she'd been going through something. I don't know. And it was like, what? I closed that violin case and said, you know what? It's time for this lesson to be done. Because I don't know what you're going through here, but that is I would never say that to a student. Even if I didn't agree with the way they were phrasing something, I would never call what they did stupid. And also, so that is one of the things that I want to say, that you're just such a blessing to share that. That comes from such wisdom and also experience, because from your bio, you were at so many different schools. Can you name you went to 4 different schools, correct? University of Maryland or something?
Yes, University of Maryland, go Terps. From there, New England Conservatory in Boston, and then the Peabody Conservatory of Johns Hopkins in Baltimore. And, those are three very different places.
Absolutely.
On the School of Hard Knocks, because really that's the one that counts the most.
Yeah.
You know, the
You keep
I'm just
scooping
saying.
this stuff out like it's nothing. Rewind. Did you guys hear that? And they will consistently hear that with all of my guests. Every last one has said that. The School of Hard Knocks, most of the most successful people and celebrities and musicians and artists are not college educated. So the School of
Yes,
Hard Knocks is very important. Talk a little bit more about that.
I will say that I learned more outside of the classroom than inside of the classroom. And some of that comes from merely paying dues, getting out there, the standing on the precipice of school to career. It's frightening. But once you get in, you jump and you get into that place where you're in the mud and you're trying to claw your way into this market that already was existing before you got there, little old you, and you think you have something to say and you realize, oh wait, I'm a young thing and this is a profession that has started before me. I have to find my way onto this moving train. And then what do I have to contribute to that train? Not just get on and be a passenger. I want to do more than that. I want to serve. I want to direct. I want to look at the scenery. I want to alter the scenery. So I have to know myself. I have to know my voice. And then I have to cultivate my gift. My practicing did not stop in school. It
Exactly.
And it changed.
And you know, the other thing too, you have to be humble. You are so humble. So I read off Philadelphia Orchestra and all this stuff, but then we would meet on the Chitlin Circuit. You know, that's what I called it, the Chitlin Circuit, and we didn't treat it any different than if it's not on television or what, because every performance you're supposed to give your all to. I don't care if it's in a bookstore. I don't care if it's on at Carnegie Hall. I don't care where it is, with an orchestra or whatever. We're supposed to be, as artists, giving that gift of song and voice and all those things to the world in our most authentic way. And you can't do that when you feel like you're too grand to perform for ... I've heard that from so many people. Mind you, most of them, no one knows their name. And I'm not trying to be shady, but it's the truth. Because their attitude is so through the roof for no reason. If we can do it, so can you. If people did it before us, so can we. You know?
Right. Exactly. You know, you check your ego at the door and you just work. You work.
Okay. And you're blessed if you can. The fact that you can work on a consistent basis in our field is a blessing. I was talking to one of my opera friends and she told me, she said, you know, Tona, I'm just a work. Now she has been Aida at the Met. She has done so many things overseas, but she always says, I'm just a working singer. And I'm like, oh my God, you've been on the cover of magazines, you've done all these things. I'm just a working singer, and I'm so grateful to be able to do what I love to do and to perform all around the world on a regular basis.
Yeah. I mean, how many people get to say that they are passionate about what they do? It's such a gift and a privilege that's not afforded to many. So it's like being on the playground. You know, I'm sitting here performing with you, like, okay, I had to do work to get to that place, but I couldn't be more ecstatic to sit next to you and to make music. That's such a gift.
Yeah.
And then people get to peer in on that world.
Yes.
Like they're having the time of their lives. Yes, we are.
So what was that like to be on Jimmy Fallon? Like, how did those things happen? Because most people don't know, with people of color that are in classical music and that are string players, there is a magnificent team of camaraderie and people are recommending other people. Tell people how you got some of those television opportunities.
Well, I will also, to speak to what you're asking, it all comes down to your attitude and how you show up for every opportunity. You don't know who's listening to you. So if you don't do your best when you're in the small place, how in the world do you expect to get to a larger space? Even a baby is born in the birth canal, which is tight, and emerges into a whole world that's large. But it could not come into the world unless it entered through this small womb, right? We have to be in that womb where we're incubated and fed and nurtured and where we learn to breathe on our own. So from that, having wonderful opportunities to work with other musicians who I love, having someone say, hey, I worked with Robin on a gig and she was really fun to work with. She always comes prepared. She's, basic things like, are you prepared? Are you on time? Are you in tune? These are the basics. That's what you do your homework for, right? After that, do you come with an attitude or do you come as someone who people will like to work with?
Yeah.
So
and our business is all about that. That's the funny thing. The people, it's so funny when you see these people with these like uppity attitudes and it cracks you up because it's like, honey, the contractors and everyone that is going to give you work.
Yes.
If they don't like you, they're just not going to hire you, darling. So you can think you're so serious because you're playing Paganini caprices and all this stuff in the middle of orchestra rehearsal, like anyone cares. And you're doing all this extra, and then you just don't get hired. But then you want to blame everybody else. And
Yes.
you and I know of people, the list that you can just name of people where you're trying to encourage them. You're trying to let them see what the music business really is, the goods and the bads and everything else, but how important relationships are in building those things. And
yes, and if I could interject, I would also add how important it is to be a part of your local musicians union. That is really what helped catapult me very early straight out of school into into the eye of some contractors who were able to see me, because where else would you see me? I'm just, coming out of school.
How did you get on Fallon? How did that happen?
That was actually not that opportunity, but like, for instance, I'll use the Stevie Wonder incident or opportunity, I'll say. That was directly from a contractor who became a friend of mine just from working, excuse me, who saw me over time and how I grew and said, oh, well, I'd like to pull Robin into this gig because he's a contractor who goes and he listens to all kinds of folks, And so that's how I got that opportunity. After that, and there's a stage and a place for everything, with the Fallon opportunity, that was another colleague of mine who I went to school with, who said, hey, I'm up in New York. I would love to recommend you for this job if you have time. I didn't even know what the job was. I was just excited, like, yeah, I get to work with my friend. That's what I'm thinking. Had no idea it was going to be something on TV or, you just don't know. You just say yes.
That's right.
You just say yes. Because
I think people think you plan these things too when they see you do some of this big stuff, and they think that, oh, you must just have a plan for everything, you would not believe some of the emails I've gotten from people who say, oh, everything just works for you. You're just did it, and they don't understand that's just the business, and what we do is all about interpersonal relationships and how people feel about working with you.
Yes, absolutely. That's the seed that you have to water every day, which is, it all goes back to, how do I move through the world? Am I loving? Am I, easy to talk to? Am I listening as an artist? How the heck am I going to be on stage if I'm not listening? I have to be able to listen. And then to have the humility to say, I might need to adjust myself.
Exactly.
Because what's happening around me, I can be in tune with myself all day, but I sit on this stage, No, let me adjust myself down or up or
That's
whatever I have
right. That's right. That's right.
to. That's like driving. You make little tweaks as you're, moving down a straight road, even you make little adjustments. We all have to be flexible,
Yeah.
and then be ready. You have to stay ready so that when someone calls on you and you can say yes, you're ready to go. And that moves outside of the stage.
She did it again. Y'all not
Stay
listening.
ready.
Y'all not listening. She just gave us another tidbit. Always be ready. I used to have a teacher, a mentor who would say, you're supposed to be practicing as if you have an event all the time.
Yeah.
You're always supposed to
Yes.
be ready.
Yes. And I will say, during this period of time, COVID-19, it's been hard to stay ready. I
Yeah.
think a lot of us needed to take time to say, you know what? I just need to sit down and assess myself. And that's okay.
Yeah.
And there are times in life when we are not fruitful. That's okay.
And that's okay. Mm-hmm.
So it's, there's a time to laugh, a time to cry, you know. So I think that, all jokes aside, even when I say stay ready, there are plenty of times when I'm not ready.
Mm-hmm.
But I
That's
learned to
right.
love myself through those periods and give
Yeah.
myself the grace to say, all right, I need a moment for myself. But then I can't stay down. I have to pick myself back up and say, all right, let's go. Let's go. And every morning, that's what it is. As long as I have breath, I'm like, here we go. Let's go.
And it's okay to say no, people.
Yeah.
Every opportunity is not for you. And that's okay too. I say more no's than yeses. Because
Absolutely. That comes with maturity.
I knew that I needed a break. I needed a break, even from just this show. Like I needed to take time and get my personal business and life in line. And so sometimes you can't do that in the public space all the time. You just can't. So,
Absolutely.
and it's okay. It is okay. I knew when I was ready, I'll be on it. And I'm so
Exactly.
pleased that I was able to bring one of the original divas from the first season of Conversations with Tona Brown back on. I hope that everyone enjoyed this as much as I did. I mean, it is just such a blessing not only to see you and talk to you, but to get some of those life lessons because conversations change lives. I truly believe that, and we need more people who are willing to just share and to be humble, like you always are, and also to give us that honey. That honey. I wish this was a different platform so you could give us a little solo box. Woo! If you guys have not
We're gonna
heard
do
her,
that
please.
next time.
Uh,
We'll have to do that next time.
Exactly. Well, what I would like to do, though, before you go, is to let them know where they can get in contact with you or to follow you on Instagram. Let them know.
Oh, thank you again for having me. Thank you for, I am not a celebrity at all. I am this big. I look up to you, and I will say that with all sincerity. So I mean that. Thank you for creating a platform where we can even stay connected. You know, this is so important at this time when we've all been masked to have an opportunity to take off the mask, take off even the metaphorical mask and just be ourselves. And I've never had to worry about being myself with you because you don't fear change and you don't fear authenticity. And that's what makes you a celebrity and a star in our universe. So thank you for that. I am very open, as you can see.
Well, first, before you tell us like how we can stay in the orbit that is the amazing Robin Fay Massie, is
Yeah, I'm on Facebook, I'm on IG, I'm Mercy
absolutely.
Musicians on IG.
But what I will say is that you actually are a celebrity because celebrity just simply means celebrated person. And we all celebrate you. Anytime you put something up and you see all that love that's coming your way, guess what, my dear? You are celebrated. And I'm here to tell you, you're very important to a lot of people. That makes you a celebrity. That's why you're on this show, because of your talent, your art, the love that you have for people and music and things, all of those things. So never, 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 never think that you're not, because there's a lot of people who would definitely not agree with that. But what I do want to do is let people be able to follow you and to see the magnificent work that you do. So what is your Instagram?
Thank you so much. My Instagram is at the little ampersand at Mercy Musicians, all one word. And that page has, a lot of it is dedicated to musicians of Mercy, but it's also my life. It's so forgive me if some of it is like, what in the world is she? But that's how I live. I
But
live
we
as I see.
care. We want to know what's going on in your life. Diva.
So that's me on IG, and then I'm on Facebook as well. I'm on Twitter, but not very. It's not a very pervasive part of my life, I'd say.
Yes. So just
Facebook and
people
IG
can
are
look up Robin.
my
Do you
vibe.
want them to go to your Musicians of Mercy page or
You
Robin?
can, or you
Okay.
can directly connect with me as Robin Fay Massie, because
Yes,
that's
and for anyone who doesn't know, just like most people that will be coming on here, you can always know the new exciting things going on with her, because I will share them. So if you go to the Tona Brown Facebook page, for most of you who are on Facebook with the little blue check, that one is kind of like my community page. And I'm always sharing what my divos and divas are doing. So please make sure you guys follow her on